promising to make a video on how to make your own beef jerky at home, and this be it. All the stuff we're going to need I've assembled, and you're going to get to see how I do it. It turns out pretty good. The kids love the homemade beef jerky. I do too. We're going to do 3 different kinds of beef jerky flavorings. The first is the tried and true to traditional, where you use Worcestershire sauce and soy sauce. Mix those 2 together and dilute with a little bit of water, and marinate the meat in something for 6, 8, 12, whatever hours, so it'll marinate in it and soak up the flavor. The other one that I tried last time was like an A-1 sauce, steak sauce. I just got some generic stuff from the grocery store to do that. And you dilute this with some purified water as well. Don't use tap water, use purified water. And for the first time, I'm going to use this Yoshida's sauce, which is kind of a teriyaki style. It says marinade and cooking sauce. My wife uses this in a lot of stuff, and it's really, really good stuff. It's kind of thick. We're going to dilute this with water, and it's everything's diluted equal amounts, like equal amounts of Worcestershire, soy, and water. And then the same thing with these other ones. So first thing we're going to do is talk about the meat. And the meat you want to get, I'm just using steak, and this is a London broil steak, which is the least amount of fat in a steak that I could find at the grocery store, because fatty beef jerky, over time, once it's cured, will start to putrefy and go bad. And I don't know how long that would take to do that, probably a long time, but when you go to buy meat for beef jerky, get the leanest beef that you can get. And I like to use steak because it's already cut in a steak form, and when we cut it up, it's already about that wide. It's beef jerky width. And when you cut it up, try to keep each piece consistently the same thickness. So that's what we're going to do now, is cut up the meat, show how you do that, and then we're going to marinade in the 3 different marinades, and we might even let that sit overnight and soak up the flavor and continue this later. But always use purified water. I don't know about your tap water at home, but mine sucks here. I mean, it's got lots of hard water, attributes to it. So use purified water or distilled water or whatever. And we get all this done, we're going to put it in a dehydrator, and it's I'll show you that in a bit. But anyway, let's get the meat cut. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is glove up. So I don't like to get my hands dirty. My hands are clean, but the old saying, no glove, no love. And we're going to put some love into this beef jerky to make it taste really good. And that's an old saying that me and my wife, either one of us, came up with, is if you put love into what you do, the food that you make, it's going to taste all that much better. So let's get to going. Okay, so what we're going to do first is trim the fat off of this steak, so we don't want hardly any fat on it. So like I said, that would putrefy in the beef, but beef jerky doesn't stick around my house long enough for it to go bad, for the fat to really do anything, but you still want to get rid of any of the fat that's on there. I wish I could have found some leaner steaks, but it's what they had at the time, so that's what we're going to use. These little fat pockets here, we're just going to nip those off. Do a little bit more here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we need to decide how we're going to cut it. If we're going to do big long strips, or if we're going to cut this in half and make smaller ones. I think what we're going to do is go ahead and cut this in half. And then just start making our pieces. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So I'm probably just going to start like this and then try to make them equally thick pieces. It's okay if they're a little bit thick, they'll just take a little bit longer in the dehydrator once you get to that stage. And I'm just eyeballing it. Some of them you're not going to get exactly perfect, obviously, but okay. Now for the next one. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one up, and we'll get to making our marinades directly after. Okay, so we've cut up one steak. This is what we've got with one steak. That looks like quite a bit, but once it's dehydrated, it's probably half of what it looks like. But anyway, I should have mentioned how much weight each one of these steaks were, and one of them was 1.3 pounds and this one was like 1.4 pounds. So, and that's how much each steak's going to make for us. So I'm going to go ahead and cut up this second one, then we'll start making our marinades. Okay, I got the meat cut up. I've divided it into three portions, so we're going to do three different flavors. First one we're going to do is the tried and true old-fashioned style barbecue, or not barbecue, excuse me, beef jerky recipe. So we're going to do equal parts of each one of these. Okay, so we're going to use a half a cup Worcestershire. Ooh, don't spill. Gonna do half a cup soy sauce. And thirdly, we're gonna do half a cup of water. Whoa, little much. Okay, now there's our concoction for the original style beef jerky. So what we're going to do now is, I like to use Ziploc bags, the gallon kind, and because you can get all the air out of it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and throw this in the bag first. Separate it a little bit. We're going to go ahead and pour the marinade in. Just like that. And that's a cup and a half of fluid. We're going to go ahead and Mix it up a little bit, make sure everything's separated a little, so everything's going to get coated with the juice, and then just kind of fold it over and try to get as much air out of it as we can. Zip it closed. There. Now that's gonna marinate. Try to separate it like this. Everything kind of gets a nice coating. Maybe we got too much air out of it. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and put each one of these in a bag, and then when we get our marinade made, we'll put each one in. I'm going to go ahead and write on this what flavor this is, because when they're in the bags you're not going to be able to know. So we'll put the meat in the bags. Okay, now we just got to make our other two marinades. So next we're going to make the steak sauce. I did this once before with the A-1 and it turned out pretty good. I kind of over diluted it a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and put half a cup. We're probably going to have to do more than half and half a cup. So let's use a third. So this will be about 3/4 of a cup. It's kind of thickened. And then we'll use same amount of water. Maybe pour it a little slower this time, huh? Mix that up a little bit. As much as we can out of these cups. And okay, now we're ready to put it in the bag. Let's put this one here. Now I'm going to let these sit in the fridge, like I said, for several hours, possibly even overnight, and just get back to them tomorrow. There'll be plenty of time to soak in and do their thing. Absorb up all that juice and it'll be delish. Okay, there's our steak sauce jerky. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and write down on the outside of it which one these are, and so we don't get them mixed up. I'm going to rinse these out real quick. Okay, now we're going to do the teriyaki, and I'm using the Yoshidas, which my family really likes, and I'm going to do the same thing. 1/2 and 1/3 each of this and water, just so there's enough liquid in the bag to get to each piece of meat. probably put these in the fridge tonight. In a couple hours, I'll go in there and agitate them a little bit, try to get it, you know, everything coated. So, okay, there we have it. Teriyaki steak sauce and original, all right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these in the fridge, let them marinate for several hours, probably overnight. We'll come back tomorrow and we'll show you how to dry these off. Put them on the dehydrator. The dehydrator is the Nesco food and jerky dehydrator. You can get on Amazon or probably a lot of different stores, and we'll show you that when that happens. But yeah, stay tuned. Okay, so we've had the beef jerky in the fridge and the marinade for just about 24 hours. It went a little longer because I had to go to work today and couldn't finish this during the day. So we've got the original, the steak sauce, and the teriyaki. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna take these out of the bag, dry them off really good in some paper towels, and then put them on the grates on the food dehydrator, and then we'll sprinkle a little bit of seasoning over the top of them and get them started. Probably take 4 or 5 hours for these to get nice and jerkified. So let's go ahead and start swabbing these off with the paper towels, and I'll show you what we're gonna do. Get these out of the way. We're gonna go ahead and lay that out, and we'll start with the original. Okay, we're gonna take these out, shake them off a little bit. You can see the color of the meat's changed. It's soaked in a lot of the marinade, and that's good. That's what we want. Spread them out on your paper towel. Quite a bit of labor goes into beef jerky when you think about it, but it's absolutely worth it. It's good stuff. And you don't want any moisture on your meat because that'll just slow down the curing process. And this meat's already soaked in all the flavor it's going to. So, okay, now we're gonna grab some more paper towels. Takes a lot of paper towels. We're just gonna throw it over the top of this and press down. Try to soak in all that moisture that's on the meat, dry it all up so the meat's not got any of the moisture on it at all, but it still has the flavoring. And we're just gonna keep putting it on top, like so. Get the rest of these out of here. Okay, that's it. And I'm going to do this to each one of the different flavors. I'm not going to show it, I'm not going to film it, but this will give you the idea of what we're doing here. And I'm just going to layer the other meat, not on top of this flavor, but I'm just going to layer each other on top of the same flavor, you know what I mean. So soaking up, soaking up, soaking up. Okay, I'm just going to leave this just like this, and we'll get these others soaked under the paper towel so they're soaking up all the moisture, and then we'll put them on the grates and season them and huck them in and start to dehydrate them. Stay tuned. So we're finishing up drying these off. This is the teriyaki, the final one. And I actually did something a little different than what I've done in the past, and that is that I've rolled these up in the paper towels to try to get them to soak up some more of the fluid on the meat. Anything helps, right? So we're gonna go ahead and do the same to this one and let it sit for a bit, and we'll start with the first one I did, the original flavor. And in my mind, I'm thinking that's gonna help, you know. So take our grate from the food dehydrator, and let's see, this is the original right here. Unroll the meat. Now this food dehydrator, my wife got this last year to dry some fruits and vegetables and things, and it works good. I used it to dry some vegetables at the end of last year, leftover vegetables from the garden, and I ground them up into a fine powder in small pieces, and I'm actually using those to make my meat rub. And I'm going to show that one pretty soon too, the how I make my own meat rub. But just want to place these on there, you know, don't let them touch. You don't want them to touch each other because they might stick together, and then you'll have to be breaking them apart. But smells good. If there's not enough room on this grate, we got plenty of grates to put it on. That thing comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different grates, and you can actually buy more if you've got a lot of stuff to do at once. Yeah, we're gonna have to get us another grate. Put some of these smaller pieces on here. Boy, I'm hoping we have enough room for all this. This is quite a bit. This is, what did we determine, about 2 3/4 pounds of meat turned into beef jerky. And the steaks I bought, oh, they're like $7 a piece, so we're looking 14, 15 bucks for the meat. And then I went ahead and bought my own soy sauce and teriyaki, and opened fresh new bottles where we actually had some in the fridge. I should have checked, but the wife was real pleased with me on that, but that's okay. All in the name of jerky, right? So we're gonna have a little extra room that I'm gonna put some of the other ones on here. I'll try to mark it somehow so I know which ones are on here. And because once they're dehydrated, they're all kind of a dark jerky color. Imagine that. Here we go. Yep, and that's the steak seasoning. Just gonna wrap that around. Okay, so we've got our meat placed on the grates. We're ready to fire it up after we put a little seasoning on. I don't like to over season them, but I do like some. Our favorite one is the Montreal steak seasoning. It's an overall really good seasoning. I use it on steaks and hamburgers, and this is actually the base for my rub that I make to rub the meat and the brisket and the, you know, stuff I smoke. So, and that's going to be probably the next video, is making my own rub. And as I said before, some of my stuff I put in my own rub is stuff that I dehydrated in this dehydrator from last year's garden. So we'll get into that in another video. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put a little seasoning on these. And as you can see, I've marked the what I've got in each grate and where it's located, because I did have to kind of put 2 different flavors together on the same grate. So I've got it marked over here too. So this section is the steaks season or steak flavoring, and this section over here is the original flavoring. So that's how that worked out. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead. As you can see, I'm doing this as the top one. Then I've already got a little bit of seasoning on here, and I'm just gonna do a little. Each layer you do seasons the one below it from the stuff that drops through the grates. And then you'll see what I'll do with see, this whole thing's almost already seasoned. That's called thinking. That's good thinking. Yeah, it's about 5:30 in the afternoon or evening or whatever you want to call it. I'm guessing this is going to go for like between 4 and 5 hours, and that's going to put us 10 o'clock tonight. So I'm going to have to stay up, pull these out. That's okay. I got a glass of wine I can drink to keep me company while we're waiting for it to be done. So there's that. And now I'm just going to take and empty out this tray and throw this in the garbage, put it back on here, put the lid on, go plug it in, turn it up to where it says jerky 160 degrees. So this is basically all the way up. And if you know, cook your meat to 160 degrees, that's considered completely done. In most cases, it's well done. But this is basically using hot air at 160 degrees to cook this jerky and bring all the moisture out of it and dehydrate it at the same time. So I guess that's how they make jerky in real life. The commercial places is the same way, but we did it before and this works really well. And we'll see. So we've cleaned this off. We're gonna put all this back on here. And like I said before, this is just shy of 3 pounds of meat. It's about 2 3/4. Put the lid on. Set it to the highest setting where it says jerky. It'll turn on when we plug it in. A little word about this thing is this has worked really well for us. I really like this thing. I mean, this isn't an infomercial. I'm making beef jerky, and this is what my wife bought last year. I had nothing to do with it. But if you'd like, I'll put a link in the description below, and you can go check it out if you want. I have no idea what she paid for it, but boy, it does work pretty darn good. Okay, so I'm just gonna plug it in right here, and you can listen to it fire up. Just like that. It's pretty quiet. It's all on all the way. It's 5:38, and I'm gonna probably check this in about 3.5, 4 hours, and go from there. So, see you in a minute. So it's been exactly 2 hours since we put the jerky in, so we're just gonna pop the lid and see what it looks like. Oh, it's coming along nice. Still pretty pliable. That's a little bit too rubbery. We've got to keep going, but it's looking really good. Okay, it's been 3 hours. It's almost 8:45. We put these in at just after 5:30. We're gonna go ahead and check it again, see what it looks like. Oh yeah. You can see that's still pretty. I mean, we could probably end here, but I like my beef jerky a little bit crispier than this. Yeah, so we're gonna keep going. We'll probably give it another hour and check it again. I just don't want to overdo it because you can overdo and make it really, really tough and chewy, so you don't want to do that. Okay, so it's been like 4.5 hours since we put this in. And, I'm just gonna go ahead and unplug it now because I know it's gonna be real close to being done. And this is the original beef jerky flavoring that we did. and it looks, it's hot. It looks pretty good. Yeah, I think it's done. Yep, it is done. So about 4.5 hours. I'm gonna go ahead and bag up these into each individual flavor so we don't get them mixed up. But yeah, that's how we do beef jerky.